Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're talking about the new Lunar Beauty Moon Spell #2 palette. This is what the packaging looks like. It's this beautiful book. This is actually, of course, the second part of this series. I don't own the first one, but I don't really care. I've seen some reviews and they've all said that the first one is better than the second one, but actually the second one speaks to me more, color story wise. So it looks like this little book, and then these are the shades. I wouldn't have picked this up normally, but I had a coupon for the store that sold it. It was from Boozy Shop, so I decided I could treat myself to it. I'll show it once more. I'm mainly interested in, well, I'm interested in everything, but I don't really have any cranberry eyeshadow palettes. So that's what I wanted it for. This shade Willow over here is a nice red. And then I think these two shimmers just look beautiful. So in the Netherlands, this palette retails for 45 euros. I got it for about half because of my coupon. It's made in China, which was pretty controversial. The first palette was actually made in the USA by Manny MUA. I don't know if I mentioned that already. That's the brand owner. He's an influencer here on YouTube and probably other platforms. Anyway, his first palette and all his other palettes were made in the USA, and this one was made in China. So people were sort of skeptical about that. But I'm just going in with an open mind. There are plenty of good eyeshadow palettes that come from China, so I'm not going to judge before trying it. And I haven't tried the first one, so if it lacks in comparison, I'm not going to notice it. I have a clean and open view. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to do an eye look, and I'm going to give my review, and I'll do swatches. And then maybe later I'll do a 3 looks 1 palette video with this one. So if that all sounds good to you, then just please continue watching. And I just want to say thank you so much for clicking on my video. I'm Cecile, I'm 28 years old, I live in the Netherlands, and I love all kinds of makeup, and I love doing reviews whenever I have new stuff, but I also love using my old products because I'm a student and I don't always have the money to buy new stuff, and I don't think it's necessary to do so. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing to my channel, and then let's get into the video. I'm going to zoom you in. I'm going to use my icing primer from Glamlight in the shade Classic Vanilla. So for the first look, I want to keep it nice and burgundy because, like I said, that's what I bought the palette for. So I'm going to start with the color Cameron, which is this peachy color over here. And I'm using a big fluffy blending brush. Really no kick up in the pan. This is not an extremely pigmented shade, but it works and it's definitely buildable. I'm just taking it all the way through the crease, blending it out, and then taking the remainder more on the inner side of my crease. I really like this shade for blending out or like as a transition, but I don't think it's a very good shade, if that makes sense. It's like, it's not extremely pigmented and not extremely blendable, but it's not bad, it is workable. Did require about 3 layers to get this result. But alright, this looks okay. I'm going to switch to a slightly more tapered blending brush. And I'm going to deepen up the look using, I think I'm going straight into Queenie, which is this darker plum kind of shade. Yeah, these shades really aren't very pigmented. You have to pick up quite a lot. Also, I'm not getting any fallout, probably because they're not too pigmented. So there is an upside. And this shade does blend beautifully into the other shade, but it's not giving me the intense depth that I was looking for. Thing is, these shades are very buildable, so after about 3 layers I am getting the result that I want. It's just I'm used to a little bit more instant pigmentation, I guess. I'll blend out this little bit with the other shade. I am using synthetic brushes, so it could be that you get a better result when using real hair brushes. Maybe they pick up a little bit more. Just these shades seem to be very stiff. I'm just going back with the previous color and the previous brush. And I'm just going to blend out the edges a little bit. See, it does work. It's just, it's not quite as blendable as I would like. You can see a little bit of a mark, a line of demarcation. And I feel like this shade's Queenie really should have been a little bit deeper. I was kind of thinking about that the deep aubergine shade in the Pat McGrath Bronze Seduction palette. Something like that, a really pigmented, almost black sort of plum shade. That would have been perfect in a palette like this. But we do have a black. It is a black with a little bit of shimmer though, but I'm still going to try to use this to deepen up the look. I'm going to use this small pencil brush. And this shade is called Mary, or Marie. And I'm just going to stamp this a little bit right here in the outer corner. See, this is quite pigmented. It's actually covering up that Queenie shade completely. And it goes a long way. Yeah, and those little sparkles, they really dust away as soon as you apply the shade. I'm also going to take this a little bit along the lower lash line. Yeah, I feel like this shade is working pretty well. Now that there's less product on the brush, I'm going to blend it out. And then I'm going back with that shade Queenie, which was the plum shade, and I'm just going over it just to make sure it's properly blended. These shades almost feel like there's a little bit of film on top of it that you have to poke through. Maybe that's actually the case, maybe they will get a little bit softer over time. And with the black underneath, I am getting the desired effect. So this is what I wanted from that shade. I'm also going to take this underneath the lower lash line. Blend out that black. And I'm just going to clean the same brush. I feel like that first brush was maybe a little bit too soft and a little bit too big. So I'm just taking my color switch and I'm using this brush again. And I'm going into that first shade, Cameron. And I'm just going to blend out the edges even more. Trying to leave a little bit of space underneath my eyebrows. But that's always tricky. Alright, it took a little while, but I really like this result. There is a proper blend now, I feel like, between... Yeah, you don't have to look at this part, that's going to get covered, but maybe just a little bit more right there. Yeah, I like this. Now I have heard that these shimmers are best applied when wet, I personally don't really like to wet my eyeshadows. I like to use a glitter primer instead. So I have here the NYX glitter primer, which is just a little bit different than their glitter glue. This is a little bit less tacky, but it does form a nice base for metallics. So I'm just going to put this on the inner part of my lid, blend it out softly. Now I'm taking a flat shader brush and I'm going into the shade Grams, which online this one looked a little bit more red, but I feel like it's more of a wine color, but it's pretty. I'm going to put that on the majority of my lid. I like this shade. It's not super duper intense, but it's pretty enough. It's giving me the effect that I want. And this one does seem to pick up a little bit easier. Just adding a little bit more to see how impactful I can make it. That's pretty nice. I'm just going back with that tapered brush in the shade Queenie. And I'm going to blend these shades together. Then I'm taking a sharp pencil brush, a little bit more pointy I mean. And I'm going into the shade Misty, which is this one. I'm going to put that in my inner corner and in the inner part of my lid. I left a little space blank there. Yeah, that's pretty. I'm also putting this underneath the tear duct on the lower lash line. Maybe I won't do the inner corner with this one. I'll leave that one for the white shade. I feel like the shade is a duochrome. When I move my head like this, it's more pink, and when I do like this, it's more peach. Maybe that's just my eyes playing tricks on me. Now I'm taking the shade Agatha, which is this white, and I'm going to put that in the inner corner. Yeah, that works. Alright, I think that's going to be it for the eyeshadows. So far, I really like the result, but it was a little bit of a struggle to get there. Also, I'm not the best at eyeshadow. I don't know, I guess I've had a lot of practice by now, but it's not like I've had actual training or the proper tools. I just use whatever brushes I have. Don't really think about it too much. And still, this is the result that I got. I think it will come together when I have my face makeup and everything on. So I'll go do that and then I'll come back to the swatches and my final review. I'm back, I finished my makeup. I decided to go for a pretty dramatic look. I used this blush and this highlight from the Ghost palette from 2019. And I used this lipstick by Uden's Eye in the shade Brown Rose. And I feel like, you know, it's not a perfect match, but I didn't have everything I own on hand, so this is the best I could do, and I think it looks nice. So let's go into the swatches. I'm just going to swatch 4 at a time. So here we have Agatha, Luna, Mildred, and Myrtle. These are all so stunning. So the whole top row is shimmers. The last shimmer on the first row is Misty. Then we have Alex. This is a row of mattes. Cameron and Sally. That one is pretty orange. It looks a little bit more brown in the pan. Then we have Gillian, Willow. Ooh, that one is nice and bright. And then 2 shimmers, Louise and Zelda. And I'm going to run out of space pretty soon. This Zelda shade is beautiful. Really goes a long way. They do stain. Look, my pink is already stained from that Zelda shade. I don't really mind, but I just wanted to notice. Then we have Hilda, Grams, Freya, and Maggie. The bottom row is all mattes again. I'm just going to see if I can fit all of them. Then we have Mel, Macy, Queenie, and Marie. This is actually the one with the little bit of shimmer in it. So this is the palette. I feel like a couple of these shimmer shades are really nice and pigmented. They really perform very well also on the eye. It's just that the mattes are a little bit lackluster. Like this Macy shade over here. Let me see if I can maybe swatch that again. Yeah, okay, so see, these are very buildable. So pause if needed. These are my swatches, all just once, but I showed you with one shade how it looks when you build them up a little bit. And also you could see that in the demo. So that brings me to my final thoughts. I kind of really like this palette. I know I shouldn't. I know the quality isn't perfect. And I know it's not cheap. I got it for a big discount, and I'm used to luxury prices. So for me, 20 shades for 45 bucks is really not that bad. But these mattes really aren't performing very well. I feel like the Uden's Eye mattes, for instance, which are also made in China, are a lot more pigmented and a lot more creamy, and they blend easier. So, more easily, I mean. So, but still, I really like this color story, and I did get this look out of it, and this is dramatic enough for me. And on most days, I wouldn't even want it this dramatic. I can't go to class like this. I did once, but I felt a little bit of regret when I got there. No one else was wearing makeup. So for me, that's pretty much good enough on most days. And also I really like these shimmers, and I really like the packaging. And now, I'm not mad at this palette. I'm pretty happy I have it. I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. But if you do own a lot of these kind of shades already, then I don't think you really need this one. Not for the quality, at least. It's not perfect, but it's nice and I like it. So that was my review. I hope to do more looks in the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.